Professional baseball has returned to New Orleans, pitching the strength of the Zephyrs behind the right arm of Scott Taylor, 14-9, including a no-hitter. Team speed has helped propel New Orleans. Now the Z's focus in on the American Association playoffs. Power comes from Ozzie Canseco with 14 home runs and 67 RBIs. Chris Bando prepares for the Omaha Royals in the season finale. Sunset over the Big Easy. We welcome you to New Orleans for a beautiful baseball evening in September. AAA ball, the Omaha Royals, and the New Orleans Zephyrs of the American Association. And it's New Orleans headed for the playoffs against Nashville starting Wednesday night. The league champion Indianapolis gets to take on Louisville starting in 2 days. Bob Carpenter with Buck Martinez. Welcome to the shores of Lake Pontchartrain, and we might see some fireworks here tonight, Buck. We have a matchup of a knuckleball pitcher against a team that can hit the ball right into the lake.
Well, the Zephyr starting pitcher, Steve Sparks, has a great knuckleball. He can actually determine whether he wants it to break away or into the hitters. But as with all knuckleball pitchers, he gives up the home runs. He's given up 22 so far this season. You can see that's second most in the association. And that's a bad combination because he's facing a power-laden lineup. Glenn Davis rebounding after 3 down years with 27 home runs. Dwayne Hosey, although he's not in the lineup tonight, has 27 home runs. And Russ McGinnis with 24. So the combination of Sparks giving up home runs and Omaha's power, it could be exciting here in this ballpark tonight.
Now, Hosey has an injury. We may not see him until later. He could pinch hit, and that doesn't even count Michael Tucker, who's in the lineup with 21 homers, as the Omaha Royals have 4 players at 21 or better this year. A veteran pitching matchup. Sparks is 29 years old and trying to get back to the major leagues. His 33-year-old right-hander, Jeff Parrott of Omaha. That's the pitching matchup as we bring you AAA baseball for your Labor Day evening. Our baseball special from Privateer Park on the New Orleans campus, University of New Orleans here. And the manager of the Omaha Royals is Jeff Cox. His ball club, a hard-hitting crew, hitting .274 as a team this year. They lead the association in homers with 149, and they're second in steals. But they've been sort of an underachieving club this year. Tom Goodwin, the former Dodger, has been blazing lately. Edgar Caceres is the second baseman. Michael Tucker, Glenn Davis, and Russ McGinnis, those power guys in the middle of the lineup. Joe Randa, good prospect at third base. Kevin Kozlowski struggling a bit in right field this year. Rico Rossi, the shortstop. And the catcher is Mike Knapp. Tonight, the Royals will face the 29-year-old knuckleballer, Steve Sparks, who makes his 27th start.
Well, keep an eye on Sparks tonight because he has a very good knuckleball. He'll throw it about 80% of the time, but as I mentioned in the opening, he actually has pretty good command of it, where he can break it down into the hitter's hands. You see, he's tied for first in the league with 177 2/3 of innings of work, but he has a good knuckleball. He's confident to throw it any time.
And Tom Goodwin is the leadoff man. He takes a fastball up high. Goodwin with an on-base average of .350 to go with that .311 batting mark. And he's been hitting well and lines one back to the box, and Sparks grabs it. A little bit of self-defense by the pitcher. It came back a lot harder than it left.
Well, he's got a good glove. Let's check out the rest of the defense behind him. It's John Finn, Dwayne Singleton, and Scott Pose in the outfield. Good speed. John Byington at third base. Greg Smith's the shortstop. He's a very good fielding infielder. He can play all positions. There you see Greg Smith. Very good speed, good soft hands in the infield.
And there's the second baseman, Edgar Caceres. He played here in the other uniform a year ago. Was in the top 5 in the league hitting during that time. And coaches tell you to come up in a good fielding position when you're only 60 feet 6 inches away. Sparks gave us a pretty good clinic on that.
Well, that's that high knuckleball. It comes right back at him. He gloved it for the out, but like you said, it was mostly self-defense.
And Caceres hits one out towards second base. Loretta on the run. Covered it nicely. Mark Loretta, another versatile performer. He can play either of the middle infield positions. On the line drive and a grounder. 2 up and 2 down, and Buck, of course, the former catcher. What about catching that knuckleball?
Well, Mike Matheny is a big guy, and he's got very soft hands. You can see he's got the oversized glove. Actually, that's the first baseman's glove that he uses. And his manager is very confident with him behind there in the knuckleball.
First pitch swinging. Michael Tucker on a one-hopper to Bo Dodson at first base. And Sparks works a very quick and easy top of the first. The Zephyrs, a team built around speed, coming to the plate. They don't hit a lot of homers, but they run like crazy. And Chris has been a good winner as a minor league manager. He's got his DH leading off Tim Barker, who can play a lot of infield positions as well. John Finn, Dwayne Singleton, and then the number 4 man is John Byington with a lot of RBIs. Bo Dodson, followed by a switch hitter Greg Smith, who Buck talked about at short. Mark Loretta with Mike Matheny batting 8th, and Scott Pose, the right fielder. The Zephyrs will face Jeff Parrott, who's 0-2, and he's trying to make a big comeback from some bad elbow problems.
Yeah, he had a complete elbow surgery. He had a detached ulnar ligament, and he is thrilled about his progress. He said he's totally 100% and anxious to once again pitch in the big leagues. He has thrown the ball very effectively for Omaha. He came here just halfway through the season.
Tim Barker, the leadoff man, and he takes one low and inside. Parrott, nothing fancy, fastball slider pitcher. This guy's a good bunter, a good base runner. He can move the ball around the field, and that fastball is in there. Parrott recently had an outing where he gave up only 1 hit in 6 innings of work, came away with a no decision. But a guy who's been through what he has will tell you the numbers aren't the important thing right now. It's how he feels when he goes out there and cuts it loose.
And he's really thrilled. He said, yeah, I'm 100%. I'm totally sound. I'm up to where I was back in '92. In '92, remember, 9-1 with Oakland. He was the setup man for Dennis Eckersley.
And the count's even. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Like to get back and get a chance for that 50th career win sometime soon. High fastball fouled to the right, not a play.
Well, Bob, like so many pitchers that pitch a little while at Oakland, he's got a very good split finger pitch. He had been working on it. Now his entire repertoire, fastball, sinking fastball, great slider, and that split finger pitch.
2-2 again, right down the middle, and hit well, but foul outside third. They've had Barker playing a lot of outfield in the second half. He can play anywhere in the infield, and tonight he proves he can DH. On base average of .380. Got a little pop, 5 homers, 43 batted in. And a 2-2 coming again, and that fastball is in the dirt.
One thing that Parrott did when he was a big league pitcher was throw a lot of strikes. Never really had too many problems with his control. Was always anxious to put the ball in play.
Mike Knapp, the receiver, on a full count. Good slider. That one had some zip and hook to it at the very end, and Barker down for the first out.
The significant thing about this pitch is that it's a slider on a full count, and Jeff Parrott is coming back from elbow surgery. That's a good indicator that he's totally confident that his arm is sound. You see, that's a very big swing and a miss by Barker as Parrott dropped the 3-2 breaking ball on him.
Here's John Finn. He's the left fielder. And a fastball at the letters. A lot of you folks who watched college baseball on ESPN over the years might remember John from the Sun Devils of Arizona State. Played on some pretty good ball clubs for Jim Brock out there, the late Jim Brock. And a solid player here at the AAA level, hitting .289.
Let's take a look at the Royals defensively. They've got good speed in the outfield. Michael Tucker, Tom Goodwin, and Kevin Kozlowski. Joe Randa, as Bob mentioned, real good prospect at third base. Rico Rossi with great hands. Look at the first baseman. That's Glenn Davis, having a very solid season here in AAA Omaha. Played 128 games. He's healthy. He's encouraged. put up huge numbers this year. 27 home runs, 96 RBIs.
Hey, Buck, the folks in Baltimore never really saw him healthy. What would he be doing in that ballpark, the way the ball flies at Camden Yards, if he'd been healthy the last couple of years?
That's why they made that big trade when they gave up Kurt Schilling and Pete Harnish and Steve Finley. They expected him to be the power hitter that he had been for Houston.
Big breaking ball way outside, and on 0-2, Finn couldn't lay off. And Jeff Parrott debuts with a couple of swinging Ks.
When we talk about his slider, always confident he can throw it any time. Very tight spin. Difficult for Finn to pick up the spin on it. Looked like it started out over the middle of the plate. When it broke, it was well out of the strike zone.
And here's Dwayne Singleton. And he goes up hacking. Down the left field line it goes. A lot of room here. This is sort of I guess you call it a makeshift ballpark. It's a collegiate stadium where the Privateers of the University of New Orleans play. It's 330 down the lines, 370 in the gaps, and 405 to straightaway center. We got some bizarre ground rules here. If the ball hits the scoreboard or those back walls, it's in play. If it comes down behind the front wall after hitting and falling into that gap, it's a ground rule double. It has to completely clear everything here to be a home run. And as Chris Bando explained it to us earlier this evening, in this ballpark you can have ground rule doubles that never hit the ground.
The reason they made that unusual rule is because the balls were flying out of here too easily early in the year. I figured they had to make an adjustment. There's Chris Bando in his 5th season as manager, 2nd year at AAA.
He had some special wishes to pass along tonight.
Yeah, it is. Mom and Dad, this is Mr. and Mrs. Bando's 54th wedding anniversary.
Up there in Cleveland. And how about that? Striking out the side. Singleton gone after Finn and Barker, and the pitchers are in control at least this early. Well, that may say it all right there. You have a Mariners cap, a Yankees cap, an Atlanta Braves cap here in the minor league ballpark. This is the highest ranking field of dreams around the country at the moment, the AAA level, as they play the final night of the regular season and the Omaha Ball Club in town. And this club has some miles on it, Buck.
Yeah, they've got a lot of veterans. You can see Dennis Rasmussen leads the pack with his age of 35, and there's a lot of guys here that have the possibility of helping the Royals if the season should ever commence again. Guys like Bob Malacky, who has pitched up in Kansas City. Rico Rossi has played there before. Glenn Davis, of course, with all that power. You know, he's got an unusual contract situation. He's a free agent. He is not bound to any organization, even though he's playing here in Omaha. Once this season is over, and should the Major League season pick up again, he's got a chance to negotiate with anybody. And those 27 home runs and 96 ribbies would be welcome to anybody in a pennant race.
No kidding. Wally Joyner's had a fine year for the Royals. He's not going anywhere at first base. A little repair work out there at second base. And of course, Glenn Davis might have had a possibility, a better one with Kansas City, were it not for the emergence this year of Bob Hamlin, who many thought would be the American League Rookie of the Year, hitting for power, hitting for great RBIs, and providing a big bat in that DH spot. A guy who can actually hit the ball out of the ballpark in Kansas City to the opposite field. Not many can do that.
Now you see the Royals on the bench. That's Jose Mota there. He was next to Dwayne Hosey. That's Chris Haney, who's pitched in Montreal and in Kansas City. So there are some people here that have some Major League experience.
I'll tell you why they got that fan down there. It's a delightful evening in New Orleans, but they don't have the same facilities they do at the Major League level. There's a porta-john down at the end of the dugout, and they like to flush out the air every once in a while and keep things fresh. The facilities just are not the same here at the AAA level. For day games, you won't see any players sitting down at that end of the dugout. Let's get back to baseball. Here's Glenn Davis. And the infield is repaired. It is ball 1 to the slugger, who's hit 27 homers. He had 28 RBIs in the month of August. Got to be looking pretty appealing to some American League clubs looking for a DH for next year, whenever that is. likes that Zephyr pitching. Two balls, no strikes. And of course, the Zephyr ball club, the one that was displaced in Denver by the Colorado Rockies, becoming an expansion team last year and being sent elsewhere. Top farm club of the Brewers. 3-1. Davis went reaching for one. High chopper to third. Byington charging, and Glenn Davis gets a very rare infield hit. He doesn't have much speed. He's hitting 281, and that's one of the few times you'll see Glenn grab an infield hit.
Yeah, it's a knuckleball, and he gets off the end of the bat and tops down toward the third baseman. John Byington was deep, respecting the power of Glenn Davis, throws on the run, and Davis hustles across the bag and beats it out.
Man at first, that's the leadoff man in the second, and the DH will step in. Russ McGinnis. McGinnis played a game at first base last evening, and he's coming back strong from having his knee scoped. He was out for 4 weeks in May, putting up some pretty good numbers. You miss a month and have 24 homers and 70 RBIs. You've done some job. When you look at the numbers for the last couple of hitters, you would think Omaha is the team headed for the playoffs. They've played 23 games, these two teams have. Zephyrs have won 12. The Royals have won 11.
Well, a big problem for Omaha is their pitching. 5.04 team ERA, and that shows you why they haven't been able to capitalize on the power they have.
This guy's got plenty of it. Nearly half of his hits this year have gone for extra bases. He has 97 hits, 46 of them doubles or more. And right by him, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Every once in a while, Steve Sparks can hump up on that fastball. It's not a real hard fastball, but because you look for the knuckleball, he can throw it by you.
3-2 pitch. Ball was hanging up high. It's well hit out to center. Singleton giving chase, and he's got it 400 feet away. Glenn Davis was all the way to second base and has to return. Singleton can cover a lot of ground, and he needed the entire ballpark to reach that one.
Well, it was a high knuckleball. We talked about the 22 home runs that Sparks has allowed, and that's the reason, boy, when that pitch is up in the strike zone, hitters can really put the wood to it. Look at the room that Singleton had to eat up out there in center field. Good speed, and he made the catch on the warning track.
Ball 1 to Joe Randa, the third baseman. This prospect is working on a 9-game hitting streak. Off to a slow start. They love his defense, but he's come back to hit 277 at the plate. He gets popped up with a little Texas leaguer to the right side, and in to grab it, Scott Pose, 2 down. Scott Pose out there in right field. Some of the folks down in Florida will remember him. Opening day center fielder for the Florida Marlins. In 1993, the first time they ever took the field.
Now he got the first hit for the Marlins. Speedy outfielder, actually beat out Chuck Carr in that battle in spring training.
He hopes he doesn't forever remain a trivia answer. Here's Kevin Kozlowski. Chuck Claybo calling it behind home plate on the 3-man umpiring crew tonight. Kozlowski's been struggling. Sent in the second week of the season from the Kansas City Royals to the Omaha Royals. And he finds himself 0-2. When you're hitting 217, every night you look up and it's 0-2.
Every night. And knuckleballs are dancing and always finding the corner.
Runners going. Pitch misses. The throw is low. And Glenn Davis has an infield hit and a steal in the same inning.
Well, with a knuckleball pitcher on the mound, you can gamble. That's the 4th stolen base for Glenn Davis. Not only is it tough for the pitcher to control, it's very difficult for the catcher to get a good read on it. You can see Davis with a quick look toward the plate. Throw was low as Mike Matheny tried to rush it. He knew he'd have to hurry after seeing that good jump. Looks like Glenn Davis got a bit of a strawberry down there on that hard infield ground.
1-2 is the count. High knuckler. It broke away from the left-hander at the very last minute. Now, Buck, I got to ask you about this right-hander, Sparks. I thought knuckleballers weren't supposed to be able to dictate or know where the knuckleball was going.
You know, I've never heard of anybody having that kind of command. But his pitching coach, Bill Campbell, former big leaguer, told me, hey, he's got such good command of this thing, he can break it down and in and break it down and away from you. I don't know how often he can do that. But Campbell, there you see Soup, said that, hey, this guy's got excellent command of the knuckleball and throws it very hard.
He only threw 7 pitches in the first inning. I've seen Charlie Huff throw that many before the catcher could catch any. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Boy, it takes some patience to lay off that pitch. As if Kozlowski almost knew it was coming inside on it. That fills the count. I see a guy with a radar gun behind home plate. Why bother? The knuckler came in at 64 on the average this inning. The fastball at 77. There's a fastball, but it's foul outside first. Steve Sparks, 29 years old, 6 foot 180. He's out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Brewers' 5th round selection in the '87 free agent draft the month of June. Those guys who's been in the minors for a long time, hoping the knuckler can get him out. Can't get the hitter out. And that'll be 2 on, 2 outs. First pass issued.
Well, you don't want to give in to the hitter when you got a runner at second base in a scoring situation. He tries to find the mark with a knuckleball, and it's wide outside. You know, Sparks got to work with Tom Candiotti in refining that knuckleball. And Candiotti's career also started in the Brewers organization.
There's a so-called fastball in there. Rico Rossi, the shortstop, took it. We've seen Rico at the major league level with the Royals. He's also been in the Atlanta organization. His batting average hasn't been that great this year. He's been as low as 217. He's at 235 right now, but how about 63 RBIs from a number 8 guy? And the knuckler comes diving inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, we talk about how difficult it is to throw, how tough it is to command. Then you have to think about the catching aspect of it, how tough it is to catch. Don't forget about the umpire trying to call it when it gets into the strike zone.
Yeah, they talk about the catcher staying quiet back there. Umpire can't make up his mind too early either.
No, you've really got to be patient and wait for it, and make sure that you don't really call it too early, because there's still some break in it.
2 balls and a strike. This one was up high, looked like a fastball. 3-1.
Well, what Sparks will do in these situations is learning how to throw a cut fastball. He'll use that when he needs a strike.
He needs one here. Might have cut that one a little bit. It's out to the gap in right center, hanging up and sliding is Scott Pose to get there. An infield hit, a steal, and a walk. The Royals strand a couple, and the game stays scoreless. Headed for the bottom of the second, Jeff Parrott, Mr. K, coming back to work. Up here in New Orleans, the Zephyrs back to work against Jeff Parrott, who was untouchable in the first inning.
Well, he came out throwing strikes. Here he gets Tim Barker on the slider. Number 2 batter, John Finn, chases the slider. And then the number 3 hitter, Dwayne Singleton, goes after that sinking fastball. Jeff Parrott starts out hot, striking out the side in the first inning.
Came into the game in 33 innings with 29 Ks and 13 walks. Better than a 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. 4, 5, and 6 hitters for the Z's in the second. John Byington, Bo Dodson, and Greg Smith. Byington, one of the most productive single-digit home run hitters on the planet. Only 9 homers this year, but a good batting average of .311. 85 RBIs. There's not a player in AAA tall enough to reach that one. Look at those RBIs. He's the highest ranking Zephyr in the league stats. The Royals have the rest of the guys up there.
Well, Byington was an All-American third baseman at Texas A&M. And he's always been a run producer. Some people have a knack for driving in runs, even though they aren't the prototypical power hitters. Let me tell you something. Jeff Parrott is throwing very well. That was a good fastball right at the knees, good velocity. He's really finishing up very strong toward the plate.
And that big hook, that slider looks like a big overhand curveball tonight, the way it's breaking, and that's 4 consecutive swinging strike threes.
Talking about the tight spin on this slider. Watch the hitter, Byington. Never really detects it. It's the slider, chases it. That's 3 strikeouts with the slider and 1 with the fastball. 4 straight for Jeff Parrott.
And here's Bo Dodson, so we'll figure he'll see some sinking fastballs here, being a left-hander. Bo, a .261 hitter. This guy's been up and down all over the place this year. Did he lay off? No, he did not, says Tony Randazzo, the third base umpire. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dodson started at Double-A, came here, back to Double-A, and then he's been back here in New Orleans since just after the All-Star break. Chris Bando raves about the way this guy handles himself with the glove at first base. 2-1 fastball jammed him, and the ball won't have much carry on it. But finally, somebody made contact, and that's 5 in a row. Glen Abbey is one of the great golf courses in all of Canada. First round, Privateer Park here in New Orleans. On the campus of UNO. Greg Smith, the switch hitter, is in there. He's had a tough second half. Only 210 since the All-Star break, hitting .280 earlier. Got a fastball and fouled it off to the left.
Smith is the type of guy that knows one day he's going to play in the big leagues. He just made up his mind. I don't know where or with whom, but I'm going to play in the big leagues. He's got that kind of determination. He was originally signed by the Cubs back in '85. The 3rd round draft pick, and from Chicago he went to the Dodgers for Jose Vizcaíno. And he played for the Tigers in a while, and then back to the Cubs, and finally he signed with the Brewers as a 6-year minor league free agent. Chris Bando, his manager, believes he's the finest defensive infielder in the league.
Up the middle it goes, and shifting to his right, Caceres. Edgar throws him out, and that's 6 in a row. Parrott gets another K, a fly ball and a grounder. He's been perfect after 2. It's a Labor Day evening baseball special from Privateer Park in New Orleans. Welcome back. 3rd inning coming up, no score. Omaha Royals, New Orleans Zephyrs on ESPN from the American Association. And the leadoff man is Mike Knapp, the Royals catcher. He's the number 9 hitter. Bob Carpenter and Buck Martinez. Down close to Lake Pontchartrain, And a liner out into right field. Scott Pose only had to move a bit to his right to grab it. And Sparks gets a quick out like he did in the first inning. And back to the top of the order for a red-hot hitter. We didn't really get time to talk much about Tom Goodwin. He was up there swinging early in the count, lined out to the pitcher. Buck, he's working on a 19-game hitting streak, and during that streak, he's also swiped 17 bases. This man has been on fire for the last month.
Well, they always thought that he had that potential when he was with the Dodgers, but never really got on track. And now, with a fresh start in Kansas City, putting everything together here, finishing up strong.
There's a fastball in there. Tom Poquette is a former teammate of Buck Martinez with the Kansas City Royals. And, of course, everybody in Kansas City saw Willie Wilson play for a long time, considered the fastest man in baseball for many years. Tom told me tonight that he thinks Tom Goodwin is faster than Willie Wilson was. Now, that's saying something from somebody who saw Willie every day. Out into center field it goes. Singleton, plenty of time to get out there, about 390 feet away, 2 down. But little guys with great speed have to hit the ball on the ground.
Yeah, they got to keep it on the ground. But man, oh man, if he's as fast as Willie Wilson or faster, he is really fast. When Willie first came into the league, I didn't really realize how fast he was until he became a regular player. I think that's possibly what's going on with Goodwin. You don't see him play enough to really appreciate his speed.
Edgar Caceres, the second baseman. He's been struggling with a hand injury this year. Very difficult with all the things a middle infielder has to do. And he rocks one foul down into the right field corner.
Caceres is from Lara, Venezuela. They have a winter ball team there. Outstanding long-time run in Winter League.
Three balls and a strike. And that one caught the knees. Thank you, says Steve Sparks. Full count with 2 outs and the base is empty. Through a strike. It's hit well to right field. Scott Pose looking at it, and it is over the wall, both of them, and out of here. And there's that 23rd home run given up. Omaha hits number 150. And it's only the second of the year for Caceres.
I think he may have gotten the fastball, back-to-back fastballs after Sparks had fallen behind. He threw him a 3-1 fastball. I believe he threw him a 3-2 fastball, and Caceres got a hold of it. Let's take a look at the pitch here. Right there, that looks like it's a cut fastball. You can see it was out over the plate, and Caceres delivered his second home run of the season.
Hasn't had much practice on that home run trot. He sure feels good about it. His team leads 1-0. As we mentioned in his first at-bat 2 innings ago, he played for the Zephyrs here last year. Michael Tucker, one of those power guys up there. Foul off his foot. Now you got those 3, 4, 5 guys coming up, Buck, with 21, 27, 24 home runs. They've just been embarrassed by the number 2 hitter in the lineup.
Finally got a hold of one, and it's the 150th home run this club has hit. Maybe from the least likely player.
Yeah, he's in there telling everybody how he did it now. There's one man missing from this Royals lineup that we need to mention. A time or two tonight, and we'll do it a little bit later. Joe Vitiello, who will win the league batting championship. A strikeout to Tucker, but on the Caceres homer, only his second of the year, the Royals go deep in the top of the 3rd, and the little guy gets one to make it 1-0. Thing up, and the New Orleans Bats have had the Z's so far against Jeff Parrott. He has stopped 6 in a row. And a look at this New Orleans ball club. 11 games over 500. They got some big league experience. And Buck, they're a team that relies on getting on base and then doing something about it.
Yeah, you can see they walk a lot, almost 600 walks, and they utilize those walks with the steals. They don't commit too many mistakes, fewest in club history in the air department this year. Good bullpen. Brito and Reitnauer are out of the bullpen, 14-4 with 22 saves.
Yeah, they each have 11. Mario Brito, Ron Reitnauer, and we expect that each of them will throw an inning in this game tonight. Pitching coach Bill Campbell and skipper Chris Bando looking to get them ready for Wednesday night. And we'll talk about the unique playoff format here in the American Association this inning. Mark Loretta, left-hand hitting second baseman, is the leadoff man. Excuse me, right-hander. We're on the third base side. I got backwards, Buck. We're so used to sitting behind home plate. We're over on the third base side here. Interesting vantage point. It's almost like we bought a ticket and decided to sit behind the dugout. And we're just going to check out the field. Maybe this post here won't get in our way too much. Now, there's the real press box. We're over there on the right side, enjoying a rather unique view.
Very different. If anything's close down the right field line, I'll call it.
That's right. It's your call. And if it's down the left field line, I'll look around the pole and I'll call it myself. Now, that's if we don't spill our snow cones that they brought us up here. I think Buck has strawberry, and I've got wintergreen or something. Minor league ballpark. We love it. 3-1, and a fastball rides up and in. That's the first base runner. Mark Loretta working for the leadoff pass. Let's have another look at the standings. Top 4 teams in the league make it. There are 8 teams in the American Association. Indianapolis plays Louisville, so it's 1 against 4, 2 against 3. It's a best of 5 starting Wednesday in the first round. And Buck, the interesting thing is the higher ranking team gets to pick whether it starts at home with 3 or on the road with 2. Indianapolis and Nashville both have opted to start on the road. So the Nashville Sounds will be here Wednesday night to play a couple. Then they go back there for 3 if necessary.
Yeah, I think the thinking behind those selections is the fact that they believe they could split the 2 games on the road and then go home and have 3 at home. You need to take 3 out of the 5 series.
Mike Matheny, a catcher that the folks in Milwaukee know pretty well. He started the season with the Brewers because B.J. Surhoff was hurt. He was up again late July when Brian Harper was injured. The Brewers were just decimated by season-early injuries. The infield and the catching ranks. Dave Valley aboard.
Yeah, they lost Dave Nielsen for a while. He had an injury.
I always thought 4 catchers was enough.
Yeah, that was generally plenty. They had a lot of surprising injuries. B.J. Surhoff ultimately had surgery to repair his abdominal problems. He wasn't destined to be a catcher. They hoped to keep him out from behind the plate.
Mark Loretta at first base, leading things off here in the bottom of the 3rd. He's only run 3 times this year, successful twice. And Matheny rocks one out to right center. Goodwin was over that way playing, and so he got to it in a hurry. That holds the runner Loretta at second base, and the Zephyrs, after having nothing in the first 2 innings, get the 3rd inning started off very well.
Now let's take a look at this Mike Matheny base hit. Looked like it was a fastball. They're trying to come inside. You can see it's out over the plate. That allowed Matheny to get to it and drive it into center field. Location was off a bit. Matheny made him pay. Now first and second, nobody out. You've got to believe that the Zephyrs are going to try to move the runners along with the bunt. This is the way they play ball. They call it Zephyr ball.
Well, they got the perfect guy up there. Scott Pose, batting 9th, is a leadoff type hitter. 282 man this year. He had a great April and May. He tries to bunt and pops it up. Grabbed by Caceres at second base for the first out. Buck, you know a ball club is a light hitting club when they talk about a guy like Post carrying them the first month of the season. He had a great April and May. That's normally something reserved for power hitters, but these guys don't hit for that much.
You can see Bando and Pose having a little bit of a discussion in the dugout. Bando wondering what Pose was trying to do there, because he probably gave the sacrifice bunt sign. Pose looked like he was bunting for a base hit. Bando was upset.
Tim Barker hits it well to left field. That one sends Tucker over to his right. Loretta around third. And New Orleans is on the scoreboard.
Well, that cost the Zephyrs 1 run right there. And Pose gets the bunt down. 2 runs would have come across. They would have been able to advance the runner to second and third. Bando and Pose are still having a discussion in the dugout as Mark Loretta gets high fives. Let's take a look at the base hit. Another fastball, inner half of the plate. Tim Barker hooks it down the left field line, picks up the RBI, and all of a sudden, Jeff Parrott, who was unhittable in the first 2 innings, is having a bit of a tough time here in the third.
3 of the last 4 have reached. The only man who retired was the muffed bunt. Runs and hits are even. And John Finn is in there, having taken a nasty slider at the knees. That was RBI number 44, by the way, for Tim Barker. John Finn surveying the situation. Middle infielders. Rossi and Caceres cheating up the middle. Looking for the grounder, instead a fly ball out to left center. That's Tucker short of the track. And the runners will return. Dini back to second. Barker back to first, and Dwayne Singleton will be the man up there with 2 outs. Privateer Park seats 5,000 here in New Orleans. They're expecting a new AAA ballpark for the 1996 season over west along Interstate 10 out near the airport in Metairie, a New Orleans suburb. Dwayne Singleton on a fastball struck out first time. He likes to jam that plate, and he took a running fastball at the letters.
Singleton started out as a right fielder. They moved him to center field 3 years ago. He went down to Australia to play in the Winter League. Get some more playing time in center.
He's been all over. A ball at Stockton, AA at El Paso, AAA here in New Orleans, and had a cup of coffee with the Brewers in the big leagues. Little guy's been driving the ball lately, hitting some doubles and triples all over the place. Still looking for that first homer. 13 RBIs to go with a .271 batting average. Well, looks like that cup of coffee was very refreshing. He can now handle AAA pitching very well.
Now, there's a lot of guys that got a little cup of coffee right before that strike deadline fell. Went up. Got a chance to see the big leagues and were inspired upon their return.
0-2 pitch, and it's popped out of play. Off to the left side.
You know, the baseball, the caliber of play isn't that much different from AA, AAA to the big leagues. The big difference, of course, is the consistency. The pitches aren't necessarily that much harder. It's just the consistency.
And a fly ball to right field. Kozlowski in to grab it. And the Zephyrs should have had 2, but they settled for 1. And the game is tied after 3 innings of play. Glenn Davis will lead off in the top of the 4th. Back in 1977, the Tulsa Oilers moved to New Orleans and became the Pelicans. It was a brief time they had here. That's when they first started talking about the Pelican League. It was very brief before they left. And Davis skies one deep. Short of the track out there. John Finn has it for the first out. Glenn's giving it that look, Buck. I just missed it.
Yeah, he had a good cut at that ball. Remember, he's got 27 home runs. Let's watch the swing. Boy, he just got underneath that one. A dancing knuckleball.
You look at that replay, it reminds you of what hitters say about the knuckler. If it's high, let it fly. If it's low, let it go. Russ McGinnis went deep his first time up, and Dwayne Singleton got out to the wall in right center to grab his drive. 1-1 game in the top of the fourth. Late downward movement on that one.
Yeah, that was a good one that broke down and away, and he continues to throw it hard. You know, oftentimes some knuckleball pitchers will try to float it in that strike zone. We haven't seen any of those knuckleballs from Sparks tonight.
0-2 the count. Middle of this lineup, Michael Tucker, Glenn Davis, and Russ McGinnis. 72 home runs, 243 RBIs between them. And that's with Joe Vitiello not in there. Dwayne Hosey, who's at 27 homers, 80 RBIs. There's Joe Randa, who's the on-deck hitter. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Vitiello, 344 this year. He's about to have his knee operated on so he can be ready for next year. He will win the association batting mark with that 344, the highest batting average in Omaha history. To his left, Byington. And he's got it over to Bo Dodson for the second out.
Now, we talked about Byington being a very slick fielding third baseman, and he goes to his left to take that ground ball on his left. Makes an easy play out of it.
And here's Joe Randa. He flied out to right his first time up. 9-game hitting streak on the line this evening. Royals aren't going anywhere except home. We'd love to end the season with a 10-game hitting streak. Tom Goodwin has a chance to end it with a 20-game streak. But not this time for Randa. Singleton waiting for it. And an easy inning for Steve Sparks. He's retired 4 in a row since the caster is homer. It's a 1-1 game heading to the bottom of the fourth. Well, we've seen Michael Jordan down in Birmingham a time or two lately, either at home or on the road with the Barons. Ozzie Canseco, the younger brother of Jose, plays here. Oh, now that's Cole. There's Ozzie. Ozzie hasn't been the type of hitter his brother has been, but he's had a pretty decent power year here. Where's number 35? He's hit 14 homers, almost 70 runs batted in. John Byington leads off for the Zephyrs in the fourth inning. First pitch out into left center. It sends Goodwin back there, and he can't get it. It'll one-hop the wall to the left of the 405. And Byington has his 32nd double of the year, leading off the bottom of the fourth. And suddenly the Zephyrs are starting to get to Jeff Parrott.
Let me tell you something. John Byington isn't very big in stature, but boy, can he drive the ball. Watch him unload on this fastball from Parrott out over the plate. He drives it up the alley in left center. Tom Goodwin, with that great speed, can't track it down. It one-hops the wall, and Byington has a leadoff double.
And Bo Dodson is up there to see if he can move the runner along. Parrott whistles a fastball in there. Bo Dodson flied to right his first time. Good guy to have up in this situation. He's a very patient hitter. Looking for a pitch that he can move to the right side. See if Parrott tries to stay away from it. Nope. Right down and into it.
Well, that was a Split finger pitch that Parrott throws. The Zephyrs, we talked about their emphasis of playing fundamentally sound baseball. All throughout batting practice, Ron Jackson, the batting coach, has his hitters going through situational hitting. Get the runner over, move him along. Runner at second, nobody out. So Dodson has worked on this situation as recently as batting practice today.
Fly ball to center. Good one with a chance to get behind it. Runner tagging and holding as Tom hits the cutoff man for the first out. Well, tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time on ESPN, Outside the Line Lines continues tomorrow night on ESPN. And the fourth inning continues with switch hitter Greg Smith. Smith pulled the ball first time, grounded out to second. So that's twice this evening the Zephyrs have failed to move a runner along with nobody out.
I'm sure that has Bando very concerned as he looks ahead toward the playoffs.
And a foul down the left field line.
You know, they're going up against Nashville, and that Nashville ball club has a very good pitching staff, and you just can't afford to waste base runners the way they have here tonight. They haven't been able to move them along. Composure, remember, was asked to bunt with runners at first and second, nobody out. He popped it up. And then Bo Dodson didn't get the runner over with nobody out after John Byington had the leadoff double.
Pretty good winning percentage in the topsy-turvy world of minor league managing. When as soon as somebody gets good, you lose them. Tough to keep a ball club together for any length of time, because when they get better, see ya. And a foul ball to the right side. By the way, a footnote on that Nashville series coming up. The Zephyrs have handled that ball club very well here this year. They swept them 3 recently, 7-2 overall. But at Greer Stadium in Nashville against the Sounds, it's Nashville leading the series there 5-4. That shapes up as a very interesting one, getting underway right here on Wednesday. First 2 here, final 3 in Nashville if necessary. And that same night, Indianapolis, the Cincinnati Farm Club that will win the regular season championship, will take on the Cardinals AAA Louisville. The Redbirds 11.5 behind Indy. And a called third strike. Greg Smith is gone. First strikeout for Parrott in a while, his 5th in the game.
Lots of movement on his fastball as it moves back over the plate and catches the inside corner. Smith expecting that ball to stay inside, and Parrott was able to run it back over the corner for the strikeout.
And here's Mark Loretta with that runner still sitting out at second base. Against a ball club like Omaha, you better cash in runners who get to second base with nobody out, because one swing and these guys can take control of a game a little later, and Chris knows all about that. Good hook. Late breaking slider. Loretta scored the Zephyrs' only run after he walked, leading off the 3rd.
Loretta started off in El Paso at AA, where he hit .315. A very good run at AA. Still not really got his feet on the ground here at AAA.
And a one-hopper. Katsaris with a nice in-between grab. And another opportunity lost for Chris Bando's Zephyrs of New Orleans. After 4 at Privateer Park, the skipper will check the card, and it's a 1-1 game. 5th inning, 1-1 game, 2 nights from the playoffs. Chris Bando and his Zephyrs with some goals to look forward to.
Well, ultimately, you want to make the playoffs, and I think once you do that, I mean, that's the first step to your goal, and hopefully you make it to the finals, and hopefully you win. So we're on schedule. We're in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens from there. Hopefully we'll make it in the finals.
Have to get by some pretty good ball clubs to do it. Kevin Kozlowski leads off for the Royals in the 5th. But there's one thing that's got to be very encouraging, Buck Martinez, to Chris Bando. His ball club has won the season series against all 3 of the other playoff teams.
Yeah, that's got to give you confidence knowing that you've made it into the playoffs and you've had success against the other team. A couple of players that this club has lost. They were called up to the big leagues. Troy O'Leary, an outfielder with a good bat, and Jeff Cirillo, a very good hitting third baseman who also got called up to Milwaukee. And of course would love to have those players in this lineup as he thinks about heading into the postseason, but they were with Milwaukee when the strike hit, and they're out of work right now.
Sparks missing outside, 2 balls in to strike. Steve Sparks, 29-year-old right-hander, looking for his 10th win of the year against 12 defeats, facing the bottom 3 in the order. And he slips one by Kozlowski, who walked his first time up. Kevin's been in the organization with the Royals for 8 years. Contact's been a problem for him this year. 89 strikeouts in 304 at-bats. Zephyrs thought they might get him called out that time.
Pretty good ratio right there, considering he throws a knuckleball. He's been in the strike zone fairly consistently.
And a fair ball wraps around the bag at first base. Dodson to the pitcher. Nicely done.
Well, Bo Dodson's a very good fielding first baseman. That time that ball took him into foul territory, and he made the throw to Steve Sparks, who was covering first base. Easy 3-1 out. First out of the 5th inning.
Well, we have a pretty amazing report from elsewhere in the association All Sports Stadium in Oklahoma City tonight. You got to hear this one. Rico Rossi steps in, takes ball 1. Oklahoma City's 89ers beat the Iowa Oaks 2-1. 18 hits in the game. And Buck, we have been told that the time of the game was 1 hour and 7 minutes. Now wait a minute.
That's the last day of the year time right there.
There must have been a pact that everybody swing at the first pitch. Can you believe that? Yeah. An hour 7?
Well, not only did they hit, but they ran until they were out.
And that has been double checked, we're told. There's a 4-pitch walk to Rico Rossi. I feel sorry for anybody in Oklahoma City tonight who had a late dinner and thought they'd get to the ballpark around the 4th inning for the last game. They got there and everybody was leaving. That's amazing.
107.
Mike Knapp, the catcher. I mean, we can't play 3 innings in 107 in the major leagues anymore. Mike Knapp catching for the Royals at the AAA level. Kansas City has what they feel is a very good prospect at AA, who we saw a week and a half ago, Chad Strickland, playing for the Memphis Chicks. Not hitting that well, although he did the day we saw him with a couple of RBIs and 3 hits. And a foul tip. Mike Matheny was scrambling out there because Rico Rossi was moving off first base.
Well, they were playing hit and run. They started to run at first base. Remember, early in the ball game, Glenn Davis got a stolen base. This time they were trying to go first or third with the hit and run. Mike Knapp fouled it off, got a piece of it. There's Jeff Cox, the skipper, coaching at third base. Played for the A's in 1980.
Holding, and Knapp fouls one back to the screen, 1-2.
Now I got to tell you, Bob, I got a little soft spot in my heart for Mike Knapp. Comes from my hometown of Sacramento. Went to Mariloma High School in Sacramento, but then he went to Sacramento City College. Same school I went to, and played baseball. He went on to University of California, and then later on signed pro ball.
Reminds me of another catcher from Sacramento. A guy named Gino Petralli. He played at Sac City for a while, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. The first baseman for the Zephyrs is also from Sacramento. Home week for me. I came out here and talked to these guys earlier.
Wow. I was wondering what all that unintelligible stuff was down there. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Knapp. And Steve Sparks from my hometown goes to work here. Uh-oh. Runner was going way early, and Sparks never noticed it. Out to second on a half swing, and Loretta throws out the batter. I've heard of a delayed steal. That was a premature steal.
He got a good jump. You can see that Kozlowski, or Rossi, had a smile on his face. What's the jump? That's a good jump, folks.
No kidding.
Rossi was surprised that something didn't happen. Now the little tapper to second. He has to hold his ground at second, but that's the best jump I've ever seen.
I've never seen Lou Brock, Ricky Henderson, or Maury Wills get away that quickly. And a breaking ball in the dirt to the leadoff man, Tom Goodwin.
Goodwin was a former #1 pick for the Dodgers back in '89. Played collegiately at Fresno State. Also played on the '88 Olympic team.
Knuckler at the letters.
We talked about him earlier. Tom Poquette, his hitting coach, said he believes that Tom Goodwin may be faster than Willie Wilson.
I'd like to see him hit a ground ball or a line drive somewhere and prove it. Look out. Ball gets away, and over to third base goes Rico Rossi.
Boy, we'll
call that one a pass ball.
That's a tough pass ball. Goodwin had to duck out of the way. Matheny didn't have a real clear shot at seeing that ball. And we talked about Sparks, how hard he throws it.
Rico's still having trouble comprehending his trip around the bases here. He's kind of wondering what I'm still doing here at third base. 3-1. That knuckleball came way inside.
Let's take a look at the pitch that Rossi moved to third on. That ball got away from Matheny. It was up and in. Goodwin just ducked out of the way, but it's a short pass ball that allowed the runner to move up.
And a foul will fill the count. Sparks has thrown 14 wild pitches this year, which is nothing unusual for a knuckleballer. You see a lot of wild pitches, a lot of pass balls. There's a little guy with a souvenir right behind the bullpen down there. And now the count goes full. And with a runner at third base, no matter what the count is, you always have to be aware of the knuckler in the dirt. Rossi there with 2 down. And that one to the glove of Bo Dodson. He'll slide to beat Goodwin. He is fast. But the Royals strand their third runner of the night, and halfway through the game, it stays 1-1 in New Orleans. Well, we're seeing it all over minor league baseball now. The Buck Martinez agility competition. Here it is in New Orleans. What is it, Buck? They got to spin around the bat 7 times, and the first guy to touch third base wins, huh?
Yeah, they're going to spin around, and then they get a little bit dizzy.
We almost lost a handheld camera on that competition. Oh, boy. He still can't stand up very straight.
All of that for a T-shirt.
Yep. All right. Fun at the old ballpark here at AAA. And the bottom of the 5th inning is up. Mike Matheny against Jeff Parrott. Jeff Parrott struck out the first 4 batters of the game, retired the first 6, and still a great strike-to-ball ratio.
Parrott's only worked 32 2/3 innings for Omaha prior to this start tonight. Remember, we mentioned he had major elbow reconstruction last year.
And Mike Matheny, who came in hitting .213, went the other way. Right center for a base hit first time. Zephyrs had a chance to not only get back even, but bust the game open a bit a couple of innings ago when they put their first 2 men on, but they failed to bunt the runners ahead, settled for 1. And it's 2 balls and a strike to the Zephyr catcher.
There you see the line on Parrott. Just 3 hits, 5 strikeouts. He struck out the first 4 batters he faced to start the game. 1 run. They're tied at 1-1 here, bottom of the 5th inning. Three balls and a strike. And a little
pop fly out to right center. Rushing in the right fielder, but Kozlowski can't get there. I think he thought right till the end he was going to catch that ball. And Matheny is 2 for 2.
Well, the second baseman, Caceres, went out, tried to track it down. Both the outfielders, Tom Goodwin in center, Kozlowski in right, couldn't really get to the ball. You can see that Kozlowski was closest to it, but it was right there in no man's land. A little Texas leaguer, second hit of the night for the Zephyrs catcher.
And here's Scott Pose, whose bunt put a damper on that third inning.
I bet you he puts down a good bunt here. After that failed bunt attempt in which he popped the ball up to second base, he and manager Chris Bando had a lengthy discussion in the dugout. Not bunting. Bando knows he doesn't have the type of offense that can waste base runners. Fundamentally sound and manufacture runs.
And that's a fastball riding high and outside. 2 balls, no strikes. Well, earlier we said hello to Bando's parents in Cleveland tonight, celebrating that 54th wedding anniversary. And there's a young man by the name of Chip Smith, who's the assistant media relations director for the Zephyrs. He's in Cleveland as well tonight. He's not with the ball club because his father, Charlie Smith, is in the hospital recuperating, and we pass our best wishes along to Charlie and to Chip, watching ESPN up in Cleveland this evening. 2 balls and no strikes, and it's a base hit to left center. Tom Goodwin was playing close enough to almost force the runner at second base. And the Zephyrs put their first 2 aboard here in the 5th.
Now Scott Pose delivers a base hit. Took a couple of pitches, got the count in his favor, and rips the ball right by a diving Rico Rossi at shortstop into center field. Matheny moves up to second base on the play.
Now the hits are 5-2 for the home team. Top of the order, Tim Parker. And he lays one down. Trying to force the pitcher into a long throw or to force the third baseman to cover.
Well, they tried to sacrifice there. The object was to get it by the pitcher and make the third baseman field it. Right now, with Parker at the plate, this might be a good situation for Bando to shake things up now and start the runners and play hit and run. Parker might be the best bat handler on his club. He's got Omaha thinking sacrifice now, so they're in close at the corners.
Yeah, especially Joe Randa at third base. Pitch was way up high. I thought he might lay off, but still tried to do something with it.
I don't know if he just didn't get the bat out of the way. He was trying to pull it back, but that ball ran in on him. There's Ron Jackson, former California Angel and Minnesota Twin, going through the signs. He's the hitting coach here, Papa Jack. We were down in his hometown not long ago in Birmingham. See the defense is double play depth up the middle.
0-2 pitch. Carrot tried to get him to bite on something way outside. Tim Parker has struck out swinging and has an RBI base hit. 1-1 the score, bottom of the 5th. Third inning, 2-out homer by Edgar Caceres for Omaha, their only run. And then the Zephyrs answered in the bottom of the inning with the Barker base hit with 1 out. There's that power hitter who's gone deep twice this year. In the dirt, 2-2.
Parker's having a good at bat here after falling behind 0-2 after a couple of bunt attempts. Making Parrott throw a lot of pitches. Nobody out. Did he go? He did.
says Craig Compton down at first base, and now there's a man out. Big pitch for Jeff Parrott. Strikeout number 6.
And it comes on another slider. Parker tried to check his swing, but he went after it. That tight-breaking slider has been an effective weapon all night long for Jeff Parrott. Take a look at this pitch. Starts it out over the heart of the plate, breaks down and away from the right-handed hitter, and he sure did go after it.
Now the double play could get him out of the inning. John Finn, though, pretty speedy out of that right side. Runners are still at first and second. Very consistent the last month and a half. This guy likes to jam the plate. He'll get on base anytime he can. He's been hit by pitches 10 times this year. Dini at second. Pose 90 feet behind him. And Finn with a high chopper to short. Rossi with only one play, as that high chopper gave Scott Pose plenty of time to get down to second base.
Yeah, it was just too much of a big, high bounding ball. They had no chance at all at first base to get Finn. They get the force out at second. Rossi with the relay to second base. Caceres. Scott Pose with good speed. You can see Rossi has to wait for that ball. There's Pose all over Caceres at second base. No chance for the throw at all.
Runners at the corners. 2 outs. Lead run with Mike Matheny at third base now. Wayne Singleton, the hitter. And he goes up there hacking. Can't get it. Singleton 0 for 2. Struck out swinging in the first and then flied to right field in the third. Patrolling center field in Milwaukee someday soon. And that high tight fastball evens things up.
Well, he was quite a basketball player in New York City. Grew up in Staten Island, played basketball, was all New York City. Basketball player, quite an athlete. We mentioned that he's made the conversion to center field. Jammed with that fastball. Brewers are a team that has developed some pretty good talent over the years. Only a couple of guys that are on their way to the Hall of Fame. Mr. Yount and Mr. Molitor.
Yeah.
Those came out of the Brewers organization.
Still hard to figure. Robin Yount retired and Paul Molitor not a Brewer. The combination of the two just doesn't add up. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runners going off first. Low pitch, low throw. Runner coming home. The ball gets away. And all the way to third base goes John Finn. The Zephyrs pick up a run and 3 bases on the play.
Now we talk about Chris Bando trying to steal runs, and that's exactly what they did. The catcher at third base was the guy they were going to break toward home. Mike Knapp, the Royals catcher, made a low throw to second, but John Finn broke toward second. His intentions were not at all toward second base. Take a look at the throw. Knapp throws it into the dirt. Rossi makes a good play, but by the time he gets it back to home, Mike Matheny comes in to score.
And then there's a base hit to left field. Singleton brings in John Finn, and just like that, it's 3-1 New Orleans. A double steal and E6 on that play, Buck.
Well, we talked about Chris Bando's team having to play Zephyr ball, if you will. Watch the runner at first base, Finn. See how he stops even before the throw is all the way to second base? And then the return throw home is not in time. It was a design play with the catcher Mike Matheny coming home. He scores the go-ahead run, and then they tack on another.
And a shot foul from the bat of John Byington. Mike Matheny's first stolen base of the year. And he gets home. So 2 runs in the inning. A couple of steals, an error. And Byington 1 for 2 with a double. Guy out of Texas A&M. How about the infield he played on over there in College Station with Chuck Knobloch and Scott Livingstone?
What a year Chuck Knobloch was having.
Well, he was doubling every other time up.
Every other time. It made an adjustment in his stance. He straightened up more. He thought he could develop more power, and boy, did he ever.
Twins player rep. Last couple of weeks were pretty tough on him before the strike. Trying to keep all the players informed, all the things that go along with being a player rep these days. Foul tip. You know, one thing a lot of folks don't know, Buck, is when you're the player rep of a team these days, a lot of paperwork involved, a lot of phone calls, all that stuff. A lot of things that can distract you from your duties between the lines.
Yeah, that's a very important position. When you select the player rep, and it's an elected position, you have to make sure that the guy understands that it's very time-consuming.
Although Nobby wasn't necessarily elected, in his opinion, Greg Gagne went to the Royals and just kind of said, okay, you're the man, because he was the alternate. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner going again. Fastball in the dirt. And down to second base, Wayne Singleton.
3 stolen bases in the inning. Let's take a look at the pitch. Looked like it was a forkball well in front of home plate. All Mike Knapp can do is block it. You concede the stolen base, but make sure you don't allow him to move to third.
And a little pop fly out to right field. Into one-handed is Kozlowski. But a big inning for the Zephyrs as they pick up a couple. They were running wild on Jeff Parrott and the Royals. Back to our ESPN baseball special from Privateer Park in New Orleans. It's a 3-1 Zephyrs lead. And we go back to the 3rd inning when the Royals got their only run. Little second baseman Edgar Caceres on a 3-2 pitch. That was his 2nd home run of the year, RBI 18. He wouldn't slug him back to within 1 here, would he?
Odds are against him. What he needs to do right now is get on base for the heart of this order. Tucker, Davis, and McGinnis.
Steve Sparks now has a 2-run lead to work with. He's walked 2, struck out 1, giving up only that 1 run on only 2 hits through 5 full innings.
Sparks has pitched for Chris Bando for 5 years. He was with him when he first started out with the knuckleball, and he's been pleased with his progress.
Left field side. Over into foul ground. John Binns to grab it. Thursday night, a big night for football on ESPN. CFA Thursday, the weekend kickoff show. Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, Craig James. They'll preview the weekend. Notre Dame plays Michigan this weekend. Eric Sire and Georgia take on Tennessee. And then it's the #1 team in the nation, the Huskers of Nebraska, coming off that big win over West Virginia, and they take on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Huskers led by Heisman candidate quarterback Tommy Frazier. He put on quite a show against those Mountaineers who were 11-0 last year. Yeah, they know all about college football down here. LSU gave A&M a tough one the other night before bowing to the Bulldogs in the SEC. They'll take on, the Aggies. They'll play the Bulldogs of Mississippi State this weekend. John Finn takes care of Michael Tucker. 2 down. And Glenn Davis will be the hitter. So Parrott And Sparks matching up here tonight, and Sparks does his job here in the 6th inning, Buck. You like to see these guys batting bases empty.
Anytime you can pitch to Glenn Davis with no one on, you've got the advantage for sure.
And he goes up hacking. It's a fly ball to Scott Pose. And what looked like it might be a tough inning turns into a quick and easy one. Bottom of the 6th coming up. The Z's on top. One of the great characters in the game, Rick Rona, the catcher here in New Orleans. He's got a new baseball term to talk about tonight.
We know how to get the young kids when they need to be got, so to speak, and but also we have a lot of good players that are limited with their power potential, so we have to get walks, we have to hit and run. If there's a catcher gets a ball in the dirt, boom, they're on second base, ready to steal third, and we call it Zephyr them. When we get behind late in the game, hey, let's Zephyr them, guys, which basically means, you know, do any little thing you can to get on base and score a run, and that's the way we stay in the game. And occasionally we get a home run, but not too often.
Let's Zephyr them.
Well, that's what they did in that last inning when they put up a 2-spot. There's Rick Rona, the resident cheerleader, if you will. He has spent parts of 6 seasons in the big leagues.
Rick wanted us to pass along best wishes to wife Susie tonight, watching back in Tulsa. She's just coming off a tonsillectomy, and he hopes and we hope she's feeling much better. He is something. Been around, what, better part of 6 major league seasons. One of those up and down guys. Bo Dotson, the first baseman, leading off for the Zephyrs in the bottom of the 6th inning. They're on top 3-1. What about Zephyrin? Did we see some of that last inning?
Yeah, we sure did. Tie score. What's the runner at first break? John Finn break for second. And then Mike Matheny, the catcher, breaks for home. It's a double steal. The ball gets away. The Zephyrs steal the run and take the 1-run lead.
Glenn Davis covers the right side bouncer to Parrott, and Dodson is retired. Glenn Davis was originally the DH tonight. Just before game time, we were informed that he would play first base, so we get to take a further look at Glenn tonight. He's really been healthy this year for the first time in a while. Bottom of the 6th inning here at Privateer Park in New Orleans. Craig Smith will be the hitter. Yeah, the Privateers, the University of New Orleans, this is their ballpark. Wally Whitehurst holds most of the pitching records here. Mets fans, Andre fans know all about Wally, and guys like Randy Bush and Joe Slazarski have played here. Brian Traxler, who's playing in Japan right now. Former Privateers. Greg Smith rocks one out to left center deep. That sends Goodwin back, and he's got it. Yeah, no padding on these walls. You got to brace yourself.
That ball carried a lot further than Tom Goodwin expected it to. It was drifting on it, and then finally he had to utilize that great speed to turn it on and close ground on this ball. Watch how he turns it on late and takes it just 1 stride short of the warning track. Good running catch by Tom Goodwin, the speedy Omaha Royals center fielder. You know, he plays very shallow, so for him to get back to the wall, that was quite a long run.
Base is empty, 2 outs. Mark Loretta, the hitter. Looks like Paul Blair out there the way he's playing shallow.
Well, that's such an asset if you can play that shallow as a center fielder, because you take away all those little dunk shots in front of the outfielder, but he has the ability to track down balls to the wall. Boy, no one played shallower than Paul Blair, didn't he?
Memorial Stadium, Baltimore. It was tough to get any extra base hits out to that center field wall. And a fly ball out to right center. That's right where Goodwin's playing. He calls Kozlowski off the ball, and Parrott comes back strong to retire the last 4. Late innings coming up. Z's 3-1. Well, they got on the ball game. We'll have to wait and see about SportsCenter later. Zephyr fans and their Z's on ESPN tonight, and a new pitcher for the Z's on ESPN. 23-year-old Scott Carl and he is slated to start in the playoffs Friday night, Buck, so a little bit of work here on Monday.
Yeah, they got a chance to give him some work. You can see Scott Carl, it's his 15th game. 5-5 on the season, 3.87 ERA, very respectable. Fastball, slider, very good changeup. He's running fastball like so many left-handers. Carl is out of Carlsbad, California. Russ McGinnis is the first batter he's facing.
And a fastball outside, 2-0. Nice outing for Steve Sparks tonight. Trying to win his 10th game of the year, a run on 2 hits in 6 innings, a strikeout, 2 walks. Could finish the season, the regular season, 10-12. Russ McGinnis, Joe Randa, Kevin Kozlowski for the Omaha Royals in the 7th. Pitches in those 6 frames.
Just 2 hits. Very good outing for Steve Sparks. 2 walks. That's outstanding for any pitcher, but particularly for a knuckleballer.
That really is outstanding. Scott Carl's 2nd relief appearance of the year. His other one wasn't very pleasant. Faced 1 batter. That batter got on base, and Scott ended up taking the loss. He's 5-5. 14 appearances, 13 starts. Make it 15 appearances now. Those herky-jerky lefties who turned the ball over that time.
That's his changeup that he uses so effective. He's got a lot of confidence that he can throw that pitch and get a lot of outs with it. That fastball over. Last game of the season for the Omaha Royals. Russ McGinnis will make his way back to Arizona. Said he asked his little daughter, 2.5-year-old Taylor, if she was going to watch tonight. She said, maybe after my nap.
Well, it's a little earlier out there, so no problem. And the New Orleans bullpen is busy. There is Mario Brito. He's the co-closer, along with Ron Reitnauer. They each have 11 saves, and we'll see Brito get a little work in tonight, trying to get sharp.
I'm anxious to see Brito in his forkball. He's supposed to have a dandy.
They say he'll throw it any time in the count. Scott Carl, 23 years old, from Fontana, California. Hits for the Rainbows of Hawaii out of the university there. And a fastball runs away, and he walks the first man he faces. And watch out against this lineup. Every time the tying run comes up, the Royals are a threat to tie things up. Joe Randa's hit 10 out of here this year. 51 RBIs. Trying to get that 10-game hitting streak to end the season. And this one will go foul down into the right field corner. They're after the souvenirs again. Randa with a fly ball to right and one to center. And another inside-out swing. And another souvenir. Playing it cool. I do it all the time. No big deal.
Joe Randa got a little bit more time as Russ McGinnis gets some eye drops from the trainer. Get something out of his eye there. Some help from Mark Farnsworth, the Omaha Royals trainer. Mentioned Joe Randa, the third baseman. He is the top third base prospect in the Royals system. Remember Phil Hyatt played third base last year at Kansas City. He has since been moved to the outfield and is playing right field at Double-A Memphis.
He's got the arm for it. And a called strike. Randa out of there. So Carl comes back after the leadoff walk.
Well, Carl has a reputation of being a finesse pitcher, not throwing many fastballs, but right there, it's Joe Randa as he's caught looking at a fastball.
And here's Kozlowski. Starting to place that ball pretty well now. A walk and a ground ball. Kevin 0 for 1 this evening. One of those great guys the Royals have had around for a while. 8 years in the organization. Sort of hitting a roadblock this year a bit. After he had 276 at AAA, 269 with the big club in '93. Oh, he tried to paint the outside corner with a fastball and didn't miss by much.
There you see 27-year-old Kozlowski, 11th professional season with the Royals.
And a 1-2 pitch. Got in. Nobody's taken the bat off the shoulder this inning. A leadoff walk and 2 called third strikes.
Scott Carl has tremendous control. He just doesn't throw many balls, and right there he drops the slider on the outside corner. Second strikeout after the leadoff walk.
And Rico Rossi, the hitter. Last time up, and a fly ball to right field before that. And he goes out to right center to dunk one in. McGinnis makes the turn and heads for third. Throw into second base. Runners at the corners with 2 outs. And the Royals have the tying run on base.
We talked about the Royals having an opportunity to use a bat off the bench, and right now they're calling Mike Knapp back to the dugout. Bill Campbell, the pitching coach, is out to talk to Scott Carl, and they're going to go to the right-hander, Mario Brito.
Situation for the Royals here in the 7th inning. Russ McGinnis at third. Rico Rossi, who just got a base hit at first. And an interesting story coming to the plate. Dwayne Hosey.
Dwayne Hosey's had a huge year, 27 home runs. He's got a sore hand right now, but he's going to pinch hit against Mario Brito. We mentioned Brito with that great forkball. Hitters have hit just 195 against Brito this year. He's got 11 saves, 6-2 with a 2.51 ERA. So this is a pretty interesting matchup. Hard-throwing Mario Brito against powerful Dwayne Hosey.
Look at those strikeouts to walks. 73 strikeouts in 58 innings. Tying run is at first base. And this one is hit high, far, and foul on the right side.
Well, he got the pitch he was looking for. Just got out in front of it and hooked it foul.
27 homers this year.
Powerful stance. Watch him uncoil and unload on this pitch. That's a home run swing to be sure. Just got out in front of it. He knows he's got the distance. Look at the guys on the bench stand up. They know it's far enough. Leads the league in slugging. 628 slugging percentage.
23 doubles, 8 homers. Excuse me, 8 triples, 27 home runs, 80 RBIs, and 27 steals we throw in for good measure. .333 batting mark, second best in the league.
There's another one of those guys that was called up to the big leagues. He went up to Kansas City on August 8th, but didn't get a chance to play before the strike set in. And fortunately for him, he was sent back to the minors to continue to play.
But away 2-1. But Buck, his story goes far beyond baseball.
Oh, without a doubt. He grew up in California, in Pasadena, and was involved in gangs throughout his high school and early into his professional career. His mother was very concerned about his safety and finally convinced him that he should choose another path. He has done that.
And a look at how nasty Brito can be to a left-handed hitter.
And that's just a sinking fastball. He throws it down and away and gets Hosey to chase.
2 balls and 2 strikes. He just did get a piece of it at the top of the barrel.
You know, a lot of guys turn their lives around like Hosey has done, but what he has done is even more admirable because he has continued to spread the word to young kids to try to do the right thing and take the right path, stay in school. And you got to admire him for going out there and spreading the word.
And now the count goes forward. This will give Rico Rossi a chance to be running off of first base. 3-2 count with 2 outs. Rossi will take off with a pitch. McGinnis is standing at third. Omaha Royals down by 2 as they bat top 7 here in New Orleans. Tom Goodwin is due up next. And it's a foul to the right side. They're ready to tear down the fence for the souvenir, but on the natural grass, it won't get there. Again. And a high fly foul left side.
A good battle here. Is he hanging tough?
These two have met before late in a game earlier this year in this ballpark. Hosey took Brito deep. Fastball away, and the bases are loaded. Second walk of the inning.
Hosey had a good at bat, took some close pitches, and that last fastball ran up and away out of the strike zone. Brito walks the first hitter he faces.
Royals all over the bases. McGinnis, Rossi, and Hosey third to first. Top of the order, the speedy Tom Goodwin. It looks like we have a pinch runner coming out. Jose Mota will be the pinch runner at first base. Of course, Hosey has that bad foot. So even more speed. It's everywhere. First base in the batter's box is Goodwin. 0 for 3 steps in. And Brito slips one by him.
Now Goodwin took a big swing there, and Brito got the fastball up and away, and I think Goodwin pulled off of that pitch. His strength, of course, as Bob mentioned earlier, keep the ball on the ground, hit the line drives. Good contact and utilize that speed.
No balls, 1 strike. Did he go? Yes. There's that nasty, nasty fork ball.
Now, a fork ball is designed not to be a strike. It's designed to get the hitter to swing at it. And you see Goodwin commits, goes around, Good arm action from Brito. He really got that arm quickly through there. Goodwin thought it was a fastball, and the bottom dropped out.
0-2 pitch. Tough situation against this right-hander. And he got him on another. 3 Ks, 2 walks in the inning, and 3 stranded. Royals have left 6. And it's time to stretch in New Orleans. It stays 3-1 Zephyrs. A familiar figure behind the plate, Nelson Santavania is the new catcher for Omaha as New Orleans bats against a new pitcher, and he's familiar as well. Bob Malacki to deep short it goes. Rico Rossi a high throw, and safe at first base is Mike Matheny.
How about these catchers, huh? Running like this. Rossi deep in the hole, the high throw. He'll be charged with an error. Matheny's on base for the 3rd time. Earlier in the game, he stole home on the front end of a double steal right there. Rossi with the high throw. Glenn Davis goes up, but misses the tag as he swipes at Mike Matheny. Comes off the bag and swipes, and you can see he just missed him. Looked like he had a shot at him, but Matheny wasn't there yet.
Second error of the night on Rossi, and a pop-up to the left side from Scott Pose. And in between the camera and the barrier, a nice grab by Joe Renda.
I mentioned Renda being the top defensive third base prospect in the organization. Makes a fine play right there. Picks up the out. Tough to concentrate as you're going over toward the wall. You can see that ESPN camera booth not normally there, so he has to play around it. Another look. Boxes, chairs, everything else. That's a better play than we thought.
Very good.
Great job, Joe.
Obstacle course. Leon Glenn will be the pinch hitter. Tim Barker here as the Zephyrs roll around to the top of the order. Leon Glenn, a infielder who hits from the left side, and for the Zephyrs this year, a .234 batting mark. 4 homers, 22 batted in, 47 games. And he fouls one off to the left side. He was involved in an interesting story earlier this year. Was playing at El Paso. Was supposed to be married at home plate the following Friday, and he got sent to AAA on Monday. Got a couple of hits, drove in a couple of runs, and Chris Bando said, hey, go on back and get married. And he did. Some things are just more important.
Well, he had everything planned at El Paso. He said, okay, we're going to get married on a particular date, and had it all set. And 5 days before the wedding, he was called up to AAA. Bando, great family man, understanding the importance of being somewhere as important as a wedding. Let him go back to El Paso.
Long one right field. Curving foul. Way out of here, but well fouled. Boy, how'd you like to break that news? Honey, I got good news and bad news. I got called up. The wedding's off.
I wouldn't have said anything.
Let her read it in the paper, huh?
Oh, yeah.
But that old romantic Bando came through for the Glens. That's great. 2-2 pitch, and a fastball misses inside.
And the pitching gets done for the night. Scott Trower gets his arm knocked down in ice after that 2/3 of an inning outing. He went down the bullpen to finish up his work.
Runner going, base hit right field. Matheny makes the turn and heads for third. And the pinch hitter comes through big time. Leon Glenn. Runners at first and third with 1 out, and John Finn coming up.
Glenn delivers. That fastball right over the heart of the plate. He got the head out and ripped it into right field. On the play, the catcher, Mike Matheny, moves over to third base.
And John Finn is the hitter. If you've noticed, a female voice in the background tonight. Janet Gross is the PA announcer here at Privateer Park. And as she announced John Finn, a conference ensued on the mound. There's Janet.
Mike Alvarez, the Omaha pitching coach, is out to talk to Bob Malacky here, I'm sure, to remind him of all the possibilities with first and third and one out. Making sure he stops the runner now. The umpire coming out from home plate to speed things up here. Going to make a decision. As often happens, as soon as the umpire arrives, the meeting breaks up. So Malacky has his instructions, and he's all set to work.
Right-hander up there, and maybe with Singleton on deck, the man in mind. Dennis Moeller, who saved 5 ball games, is getting ready. We have 2 lefties down there, Moeller and Enrique Burgos, who has 19 saves. Matheny at third, Glenn at first base with 1 out. John Finn waiting for the first one from Milwaukee. Chuck Claybo let you know that it was in there. Target moves outside. Breaking ball stays up in it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Malacky won 14 games for the Orioles in '89. He made 36 starts, was 14 and 12. And he went up and down. He went all the way down to Hagerstown with some arm problems in '91. Back to the Orioles in '91 and '92. Ended up in Cleveland in '93. He's always been guy that will utilize 4 pitches: fastball, sinking fastball, slider, and a great changeup. He's always been able to throw that changeup very effectively.
1 ball and 2 strikes to John Finn. Royals looking for the ground ball here with runners at first and third. 1 out. Zephyrs by 2 in the 7th and trying to keep that runner close. Malacky throws to Glenn Davis. Leon Glenn, the runner. And a big hook. Hits near the plate. Runner coming home. And he's safe at the plate. Mike Matheny got a great jump. He was coming on contact. And Malacky actually made a pretty good play.
Let me tell you something. That catcher moves around like a middle infielder when he gets on base. Mike Matheny with a good piece of base running as he scores to put the Zephyrs up by 3 runs. Watch the effort coming down the line at third base. Little swinging bunt. Matheny gets a good break, reads the ball very well. Malacky makes a good play, but look at the slide by Matheny as he slides around Nelson Sanavena and stabs the plate with his left hand. You gotta love a catcher that can move like that. He has stolen the base tonight. He has scored a couple of runs, delivered 2 hits. He's having a big night.
Nice going, Mike Matheny. It's been a tough season for him, hitting only .213 coming in. And now the left-handed batter, Dwayne Singleton, set to step in. And it looks like Dennis Moeller will be the man they call on. So Milwaukee retires only 1 of 4 hitters. 4-1 Zephyrs. Bottom of the 7th inning, and the New Orleans Zephyrs have taken a 4-1 lead in this game. They've out-hit Omaha 8-3, and Dennis Moeller is the new Royals pitcher.
Left-hander Dennis Moeller works in his 50th ball game of the season. You can see he's got 5 saves, 386 Earned run average, 17th round pick back in '86 for Kansas City. He was traded to Pittsburgh, but has returned to the Royals organization.
Wayne Singleton has an RBI base hit and a steal in 3 trips. And a big breaking ball foul. Well, the Zephyrs trying to put an exclamation point on the end of this season. They could finish 12 games over 500. Get some pitchers some work as they get ready for the playoffs that commence here on Wednesday. Nashville Sounds of the White Sox organization on their way here. Spando's team will have the first 2 at home Wednesday and Thursday, and then head for Greer Stadium in Music City for the weekend. Best of 5 that series. Two balls and a strike. Inside target. He hit it. It's a bunt. It's past the mound and no play. The bases are loaded as Singleton drags one beautifully.
Now that's what you want to do on that drag bunt. Get it by the pitcher. Once Singleton got it by Moeller, no one was going to throw him out. He takes it with him. You can see the third baseman is shallow at third, so he takes it toward the second baseman, and he gets it by Dennis Moeller, who dives but can't come up with it. The second baseman, all he can do is look to third as Singleton has his second hit of the night.
3 consecutive base hits. John Byington steps in. One for 3 night with a double, and he got a fastball to work with. Took it on the inside corner.
Boy, this is the guy you wanted to play with the bases loaded. Already picked up an RBI tonight. Check that. He's got a double. 85 driven in on the season for Byington.
Well, he's been their clutch hitter all year long. You don't get 85 RBIs with 9 homers by just hitting sac flies. He's gotten base hits with men on base all year long. Rated the best third baseman in the association last year.
Santamania wanted to call time. Moeller wasn't really sure of the pitch call, so the journeyman catcher said, wait a minute, let's start over again.
Pretty good breaking ball there. And 2 strikes. Got inside on the right-hander with the fastball. My partner was shaking his right hand as if he was the one that was jammed. Buck, I know that you guys see a pitch like that, almost hurts to watch it.
It happens so often to me.
Little phantom pain there, huh?
Yeah, that little cut fastball in on the hands.
1-2 again. Big breaking ball up high, and it is right through the legs of the shortstop, Rossi. 2 runs will score. Another man to third, and the game's been busted wide open. A double play ball, and Rossi could not drop the glove.
And he got ahead of himself there. He was thinking about getting out of the inning, and he was just excited about the possibility of the inning-ending double play and never put a glove on it. He'll be charged with an error. Byington will pick up an RBI. You can see Rossi was in a rush to get that ball to second base. That's the 3rd error of the night for Rico Rossi. Byington gets his 86th run driven in, and the Zephyrs have taken a 5-run lead. Rico Rossi, normally a very good fielding shortstop, has had a tough night here. All 3 errors have been charged to the Royals shortstop.
2 in this inning. 3 base hits in the frame. Still only 1 out, and Bo Dodson is the hitter. First baseman 0 for 3 with a couple of fly balls and a grounder. Even the high-powered Omaha offense may not be able to come back from this. And that's 2-1. Jeff Cox has watched his defense fall apart this inning. Opened the inning with an error, did the shortstop. Then 5 hitters later, another one on a sure double play ball. And this is considered a pretty good surface here in New Orleans.
Yeah, Rossi just got ahead of himself and rushed that play. Just ready to throw the ball before it actually got to him. We talked about this Zephyrs team being opportunistic. They don't have a lot of power, so they've got to cash in on the other team's mistakes, and they've done that tonight.
Zephyring, Rick Rona called it. And a 2-2 fastball misses. There he is. He keeps this ball club loose. Sidearm and a foul on a fastball that was running in severely to the left-handed hitter.
Moeller broke with the Pirates last year out of spring training. He had gone over to Pittsburgh in a deal that sent Chico Lean to Kansas City.
3-2 instead to first. They've got the runner picked off. Now another runner off third, waiting to see what will happen. He's coming home. The throw there, and he missed the tag. Safe at the plate is Singleton. The throw spun Santavania around, and Singleton snuck around him.
Oh, another great slide at the plate. Santavania is a big moose of a guy, but watch the slide at home plate. Santavania had pretty good position. They pick off the runner at first base, John Byington. Davis fakes the throw to third, trying to get the runner to commit. Right here, Rossi makes the throw to the plate, and look at the slide. That's tremendous. That's a Willie Mays type of slide right there. Dwayne Singleton drops the slide on him, and he never was touched.
And then the next pitch, a base hit by Dodson to right field. And runners will be at first and third. Buck, I've got to ask you about the positioning on that play of Nelson Santavania. It looked like he got caught ball watching maybe a little bit and wasn't in position to be right on or blocking the plate.
Well, let's take a look at it. You see, he has to go to the first base side to take the throw. And then when he swipes at the runner, Singleton avoids the tag. But Santavania had to go to the first base side of home plate to flag down the throw from Rossi, and then by the time he came back, Singleton put a great slide on him.
That was another double steal, by the way. No error given on the play. And it's 7-1 New Orleans. Still only 1 out. The 8th man to bat in the inning is Greg Smith, who turns around and bats from the right side. It was 3-1 when this inning started. As recently as 1/2 inning ago, Omaha had the tying runs on base. Now they're down by 6. Busy inning here at Privateer Park in New Orleans. Our ESPN Labor Day evening baseball special. AAA American Association, Omaha Royals, the Kansas City Top Farm Club, and the New Orleans Zephyrs of the Milwaukee Brewers organization. Here's near second base. Rico Rossi drops the ball. And there's a forced play at second.
And that kind of night for Rico Rossi. Jeff Cox has to be wondering what in the world's going on out there. That ball popped straight out of his glove. Stayed right there at his feet for the force out, but he has had a tough night with the leather. Here's a look at it. He's camped under it, got it well in his sights, and then boing. He tried to grab it with his bare hand, but he was fortunate that there was a force at second base.
Could have been a 3-error inning for him. Enrico says to the skipper, I don't know what's going on here either. Tell me and we'll both know. And that'll be it for Dennis Moeller. The Royals will employ their third pitcher of the inning. And it looks like right-hander Steve Shiflett will be on from their bullpen. Football coming up. Football getting underway. Steve Shiflett has a couple of saves to his credit as he appears out of the Omaha bullpen. He's made 45 appearances, one of those a start.
Well, Steve Shiflett signed with Kansas City back in '89 as a non-drafted free agent. He grew up in the Kansas City area. Good sinking fastball, sweeping slider. He comes into this game trying to stem the tide. 92 innings of work this year for Shiflett.
And the Submariner will face Mark Loretta. With runners at the corners and 2 down. At third base is John Byington. And over at first base is Greg Smith. 7-1 New Orleans now with a 4-run 7th inning. Submarine fastball, Anthony. Mark Loretta has scored a run tonight that he grounded out, flew to center after walking in the third. Each reliever in this inning only able to retire 1 batter so far. Fielding has betrayed both. And the 0-2 pitch is a breaking ball that bends outside. Look, we don't see many Submariners around. What kind of special problems do they present for hitters?
Well, right-handed hitters have a tough time hanging in there. You have a tendency to bail out when he comes down from the side.
That breaking ball had the heart of the plate. Out to center it goes, and Goodwin out there to get it. 9 men bat in the inning. 4 of them score, a couple of errors, and the Z's have busted things open. Well, Rick Rona is not in the lineup tonight, but Buck, he will do just about anything he can to get on camera.
He crawled underneath the bench to put this hot foot down, and he had enough time to put the sign to say, "Hi, Mom." Look at that. A full-blown blaze. That's one of the better hot puts you'll ever see. And look at Sparks. He's looking down there. Where's Rona? Where's Rona?
Yeah, they know who did it. Yeah, he's real nonchalant now, isn't he? Oh, that's funny. Well, that's the way it goes when you're a left-hander, Steve Sparks. You know, Sparks is not a guy without blame. I mean, he hurt himself earlier this year in spring training after hearing a motivational speaker that came to talk to the Brewers organization. He hurt his left shoulder trying to rip the yellow pages in half. So there's the bad guy. A couple of Tulsa boys, one playing a joke on the other. You never know what's going to happen when you get a couple of Okies together in the same dugout. 8th inning, 7-1 New Orleans. just when we wondered what we were going to talk about with a 6-run game in the 8th inning.
That's the value of having Rick Rona around. That was a lot of effort to crawl all the way underneath that bench.
And that's a 2-2 call now. Edgar Caceres leading off for the Royals in the 8th. Michael Tucker and Glenn Davis to follow. And the pitcher is a very familiar guy to Major League Baseball fans, Steve Wilson. Former Ranger, former Cub, former Dodger. And he gives up a base hit to Caceres leading off the 8th inning. Wilson, the veteran left-hander who hails from British Columbia, the 4th New Orleans pitcher of the night.
Native of Victoria, British Columbia, as Bob mentioned. You can see he's worked a lot here, 75 2/3 innings.
And throwing a splitter this year for the first time.
He's always had a good fastball and a slider, but they're trying to give him an off-speed pitch to add to the arsenal.
And a fastball flied out to left field. And right there to grab it, John Finn retires Michael Tucker for the first out. One of the best undercover operations we've seen in a long time, pulled off a few minutes ago by Rick Rona, who is under and behind the bench to pull off that hot foot.
Yeah, this is how it all started. He was crawling all the way down from the left field end of the dugout behind the equipment.
Even covered his head with a towel.
And then he puts the sign in, the Hi Mom sign. He's got his head covered up with a towel to camouflage himself, and he puts a big old wad of gum on the side of the shoe.
And the next thing the pitcher knows, his foot's on fire. There's a well-hit ball from Glenn Davis. Out to left center. And to the wall, unable to grab it is Singleton. A runner around third. Caceres on his way home. And he will score standing up on a long RBI double by Glenn Davis, and that's 97 ribbies for the year.
Now, Glenn Davis has had a big rebound year here in AAA for the Omaha Royals. Big double to center field against the left-handed offerings of Steve Davis. Steve Wilson, of course. It's Glenn Davis with the drive.
And Russ McGinnis is the batter. 7-2 now as the Royals bat in the 8th. Fastball misses. Right behind us is the home of the University of New Orleans basketball team, and they're having a concert tonight at Lakefront Arena. An 18-wheeler hit a fire hydrant there. There's no water at the arena or at the stadium, we're told at the moment, and we're investigating to see if Rick Rona had anything to do with that. He might have been driving that rig. 1 ball, 1 strike to Russ McGinnis, and a foul ball off to the right side. Who needs water?
I would say these guys are very loose. I'm not worried one bit about the opening game of that semifinal series on Wednesday against Nashville.
Fastball up and in, popped up. And the shortstop, Greg Smith, calling for it. That's the second out. Joe Randa will be the hitter against Steve Wilson. I bet you there's one guy tonight who's watching this game who is not admitting to anybody now that he went to the same high school with Rick Rona. And that's Charlie O'Brien, the Atlanta catcher. Both products of Bishop Kelly High School in Tulsa. Charlie a little more civilized than this guy. A little. And there's a foul ball off to the right side from the bat of Randa, who's flied out twice and struck out. What's he thinking about doing now, Buck? That's the big question.
Well, that's life in the minor leagues, you know. It becomes a very monotonous season if you're not playing and you got to think of things to do to occupy your mind. Rona's everywhere. And
a high fastball from Steve Wilson. 1 1 ball, 1 strike to Randa, with Glenn Davis still out at second base. 2 outs here in the 8th. And Glenn Davis a 2 for 4 night. He'll end up the season hitting about 283, 284, 97 runs batted in, 27 home runs. And I would think some very interested ball clubs at the major league level.
You'd think that someone will have to give him an opportunity to make their team. And remember, he went to camp with the Mets. But was well aware all along that the Mets were looking for some younger people to play first base. They ultimately picked up David Segui from the Orioles, and it was ironic that it was Segui's acquisition that moved Davis away from the Mets after 3 very, very miserable years in Baltimore. This year, 97 ribbies, an Omaha record.
A couple of Omaha records this year. The 344 batting mark by Joe Vitiello, highest ever for an Omaha player. And a swing and a miss. The inning is over. A run on 2 hits. And we told you earlier tonight there would be some fireworks here in New Orleans. We didn't necessarily know they would be in the dugout. 7-2 with the Z's coming up. Bottom of the 8th inning. Welcome back to New Orleans, an ESPN baseball special, and it's all New Orleans right now. 7-2, and their catcher Jimmy Kremers will be the hitter. He took over behind the plate for Mike Matheny a half inning ago, and he faces Enrique Burgos, the Omaha left-hander who has 19 saves.
Well, Burgos has always had a great arm, and it's just been a matter of him harnessing that ability. This year at Omaha, he has really put it together. He started out in the Toronto Blue Jays organization, played 7 years in their minor leagues, and then went to Taiwan to play. That's what he's been doing all year long for the Royals.
And a very brief at bat for Jimmy Kremers. First out, bottom of the 8th. Crazy night in the association. We got hot feet. No water at the ballpark. An hour and 7-minute ball game in Oklahoma City tonight when they beat Iowa 2-1. By the way, we're told that Turk Wendell was the pitcher in that game for Iowa. That explains part of that madness. And here in New Orleans, Ozzie Canseco will be the hitter. He'll bat for Scott Pose.
Canseco leads the Zephyrs with 14 homers. The average, not exactly what he would like to see, 236, but he's driven in 67.
Looks very similar to Jose when he swings. The batting stance is a bit different, though.
A little bit different, but boy, the follow-through and everything very similar to Jose.
By the way, 96 on that previous fastball.
And Burgos has that great arm, and this year he went to a sports psychologist in Omaha. And they got him to relax more on the mound and have more confidence. Hard to believe that a guy with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball didn't have confidence, but that was the case with Enrique Burgos. Yankees drafted Ozzie Canseco in the 2nd round as a pitcher.
2-1 pitch. High heat. Could he lay off? No, says first base umpire Craig Compton. Ozzie in this league with the Cardinals AAA club Louisville last year. Hit 240 there with 13 long ones and 33 RBIs. And here's a 2-2, and he's got him. That is some heat. And a couple of Ks. Two outs, bases empty, and it's our understanding that Rick Rona is hooked up with us on a microphone downstairs. Rick, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
You, I think, provided us with the highlight of the evening there a few minutes ago. Is this guilty as charged?
I don't know. I didn't see the close-up. I've done it before, but I'm not sure it was me tonight.
We have proof positive, big guy. You have been nailed.
Well, I guess I didn't have that towel covering my face up enough.
Yeah, it was really hard to tell who that was doing it. Derek Wachter is the pinch hitter for the Zephyrs. He'll replace Leon Glenn. Hey, Rick, on a more serious note, we've seen your ball club do some serious Zephyring tonight.
Exactly, that's what they've been doing. They've been coming up with some slides. We've been doing it all year. Jimmy Krimmer's had some great slides tonight. Mike Matheny and Dwayne Singleton. I've never seen that type of play, but that's just the type of athleticism he can do. You've seen his catches in the outfield. Now he can run the bases, and he's hitting the ball really well also.
You had a couple of opportunities early that got away. It looked like Chris Banda was a bit upset about that.
Yeah, we're trying to win every game. I mean, this is we're relaxed, but we're trying to still win every game and play well.
That's out at first base. Well, Rick, hang with us. We'll be back for the top of the ninth in a minute. A 1-2-3 8th, and to the ninth. Zephyrs 7, Royals 2. The ninth inning, Zephyrs over the Royals 7-2. Bob Carpenter, Buck Martinez in New Orleans. Rick Rona's still with us, and the jury is out, but I don't think it'll be out for long, Buck, after they see this replay, and we've got Rona hooked up with us still.
Well, Rick, talk us through the play here, because this took a lot of thought and preparation.
Well, as you can see, about 2 innings ago, the cameraman said we need a hot foot, and so I set up my catcher's equipment, lined it all up, got a towel, and the key part was getting Mario Brito to talk some Spanglish to Steve Sparks. He's got his arm around him, and Steve doesn't know what hit him here. And, you know, he threw some gum in my head when we were in Little League, and I finally got a chance to pay him back.
Well, that's got to be one of your best hot foots of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure I made my mother proud.
Yeah. Mom with Susie back there in Tulsa. We said hello to Susie earlier this evening, and I'm sure Mom is very proud of you right now.
Yeah, it's the little things I can do to a team to contribute and help us win.
Kozlowski, the leadoff hitter for the Royals, and he fouls one. That'll even the count. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It was nice that we got up by 6 runs. I could have a little cushion there.
Yeah. Ron Reitenauer, the closer. Rick, tell us about him.
He's been outstanding all year. I mean, anytime we give him the ball, he's done an outstanding job. He's made some spot starts with us, you know, double hitters. You know, he'd give us 5 strong innings. He can come in and strike out the side in 1 inning. I had a chance to watch him on a AAA All-Star game earlier this year. He had 3 of the best hitters, Billy Ashley, I think from Albuquerque, and 2 other guys. 2 of them, they hit pop-ups, didn't even get past the mound, and he struck out the other one. Just jammed 2 guys and struck out the lefty with a nasty forkball, and that's his pitch. He's got 2 different sliders, 2 different fastballs, and a great forkball. He works both sides of the plate, throws strikes, works quick. And his man, I believe, he just turned 30 years old today. And if any guy on our team deserves a chance to get in the big leagues, I wish he had a chance this year, but I'm sure he'll get a chance next year. As he said earlier, he doesn't have a quitting bone in his body, and I tell you, he's been the stalwart of our staff this year.
Oh, Rick, I think you've got a future in broadcasting.
That's good.
That was very good.
Thank you.
You're going to have to shorten it up a little bit, though.
Yeah, I can be long-winded. I'm a catcher. Catchers got to be visible and vocal at all times.
Tell me about it. I'm sitting up here with one. 3 balls and 2 strikes to the leadoff man.
It looks to me like your bullpen is really in good shape heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, you got a good look at it tonight. Mario Brito and Steve Wilson, and now Ron Reitenauer. I'm sure he'll put the lid on this game.
He gets a 1-hopper out to Mark Loretta. That's the first out. Well, Rick, thanks for joining us, and thanks for having some fun with us tonight, and we wish you guys the best when you take on Nashville in a couple nights, you and your skipper and all the guys.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Rick Rona, that devious catcher down in the dugout. You know, he had me looking down under our table a few minutes ago. Got to keep your eyes out when you're in the same park with that guy. And here's Rico Rossi, who's had a tough night in the field. He's been on base twice at the plate. Last inning of the year for the Omaha Ball Club. He goes out to center. And Dwayne Singleton out there to grab it for the second out. SportsCenter is coming up next as soon as we wrap things up from Privateer Park here in New Orleans. We hope you've had a great holiday, and on SportsCenter you'll see some NFL highlights, also the U.S. Open, and a wrap on the college football weekend. It's on Nebraska. Rocket up to the top of the college football world, and they'll play Texas Tech Thursday night on ESPN. Nelson Santavania. First at bat, he's been in there catching since the 7th inning. And a 1-0 pitch stays inside, ball 2. 7-2 as New Orleans tunes up for the playoffs here tonight.
Well, they've done a good job of sticking to their game plan. They don't have a lot of power. They utilize the stolen base, and the bullpen came in and shut the door.
And a 2-hopper to third. To his left, Byington. And this one is over. Out hitting Omaha 10-5. New Orleans wins it 7-2 for Buck Martinez. And I guess for Rick Rona and the Royals and the Zephyrs. Bob Carpenter, hope you enjoyed a flaming night of AAA baseball from Privateer Park. Have a great rest of the holiday, and Sports Center is next.